The Harper family had just moved into their new old house. Excitement filled the air. Little did they know a nightmare lurked above. The attic was dark and dusty. Cobwebs hung from every corner. The air was thick with the smell of decay. 10-year-old Emily, with her adventurous spirit, stumbled upon a hidden trunk. Inside lay a porcelain doll. Its eyes were closed, but a sinister smile seemed to play on its painted lips. Emily, captivated, brought the doll down. That night things began to change. The whispers started subtly. At first they thought it was the wind, but the whispers grew louder, more frequent. They seemed to come from the doll. Shadows danced at the edge of their vision. Objects moved mysteriously. The family felt a constant unease, a presence that watched their every move. Emily, however, felt strangely drawn to the doll. She started talking to it, confiding in it. Unbeknownst to her, a dark entity was listening, feeding on her innocence. Terrified, the Harpers decided to get rid of the doll. They drove miles away, leaving it in a deserted dumpster. They returned home, relieved, hoping for a peaceful night. Their hope was short-lived. The doll was back. It sat on Emily's bed, its porcelain face gleaming in the moonlight. The whispers intensified, swirling around them like a malevolent vortex. Fear turned to terror. The Harpers were trapped in a nightmare, haunted by something evil, something that refused to leave. They were desperate, their pleas for help lost in the growing darkness. Emily's behavior changed dramatically. Her once bright eyes were now vacant, reflecting an unnatural darkness that seemed to consume her soul. She spoke in a voice that wasn't her own, uttering chilling words that sent shivers down their spines and filled the room with dread. The entity had taken hold of Emily, transforming her into a vessel for its malevolent intentions. It used her as a vessel, its power growing stronger with each passing day, feeding off her innocence. The Harpers watched in horror as their little girl slipped away, replaced by something sinister and unrecognizable. The house became a battleground, filled with an oppressive atmosphere. They fought against an unseen force, their desperation echoing in the empty halls, but their efforts seemed futile. But the entity was relentless, fueled by Emily's innocence, growing stronger and more malevolent by the day. In their desperation, they sought help. An old priest, Father Michael, listened to their story, his face etched with concern. He spoke of a ritual, a way to sever the connection, but the ritual was dangerous, fraught with risks. One wrong step, and Emily would be lost forever. Yet it was their only hope, a beacon in the overwhelming darkness. Hope flickered within them, fragile yet persistent. They clung to it, fueled by the love for their daughter, their determination to save her from the clutches of the unknown. The air crackled with tension as they gathered around Emily. She sat motionless, her eyes black and lifeless. Father Michael began the ritual, his voice a low chant that echoed through the house. Candles flickered, casting long, dancing shadows. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of incense and fear. The entity within Emily resisted, its rage shaking the very foundation of the house. The room pulsed with unseen energy. Father Michael, his voice strained but determined, continued the ritual. Their hope hung by a thread, their hearts pounding in unison with the rhythmic chanting. As the ritual reached its climax, the doll's grip on Emily tightened, almost as if it had a life of its own. Suddenly, flashes of images flooded their minds. A young woman, her face contorted in terror, clutching the doll as she was burned alive, accused of witchcraft in a time of hysteria. The doll, it turned out, was a conduit, a vessel for her tormented soul, forever trapped in its porcelain shell. Wrongfully accused, she sought revenge, using the doll to latch onto the innocent, spreading her curse. Emily was just the latest victim in a long line of tormented souls. The revelation sent chills down their spines, leaving them paralyzed with fear. The doll wasn't just haunted, it was a beacon of vengeance, fueled by centuries of pain and suffering, a relic of dark history. The stakes had just become infinitely higher, and the danger was more real than ever. The room pulsed with the intensity of the final confrontation, shadows dancing on the walls. Father Michael, his face beaded with sweat, uttered the last words of the ritual, his voice trembling with determination. The entity within Emily screamed, a horrifying sound that tore at their hearts, echoing through the room. With a blinding flash of light, Emily went limp, her body collapsing to the floor. The doll in her hand cracked, then crumbled into dust, its power finally broken. Silence descended, heavy and absolute, as if the room itself was holding its breath. The air was clear, the oppressive presence gone, leaving a sense of peace. Emily awoke, her eyes clear, her innocent gaze restored. The nightmare was over, but the scars remained. But the memory of the forgotten doll and the vengeful spirit it housed would forever haunt their lives, a reminder of the darkness they faced.